Moviebox Forums Community Podcast. This is episode number 36 for October 8th, 2012. I am Dakazu from the forums, and who is with me this week?
CrossXhunter.
Fox 8.
Jojo.
You mean Kenzo.
Close enough.
Kenzie.
And we have Ransu listening in on the wings, and Totoro is doing our recording engineering for us, but he probably won't be talking, at least in this first half. I'm
Hey,
back,
look, buddy.
guys. Okay,
I'm
there
an
it is.
engineer. That means I solve problems, not problems like what is beauty, because that would fall within the purview of your conundrums of philosophy. I solve practical problems.
Do you have that memorized? Or are you just reading that?
He's not talking.
I'll leave that to you.
I'm back. I was out last week.
Yeah, how did you like all the awesome DOA talk and what else did we talk about?
Oh god, you guys went on for about Doctor Who and television for like 30 minutes, and I was falling asleep.
Well, what else was there?
The DOA talk, and then you guys were talking a little bit. I forgot about which video games you're talking about. Besides that, you talked about Firefly, which that was a little better. And then the Moviebox, I think that was about it. The Dead or Alive talk was really technical, but I actually really liked it. In fact,
yeah, so did I.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it later, but I picked up Dead or Alive. But right now, this week, X is out. He is actually playing Dead or Alive in a online tournament. And that is why we have gathered a little cast here to talk about manga and anime.
It's like
and
the inmates are running to prison.
It's like the anti-X cast. So I'm excited, especially about the manga talk, because that's the one thing that we haven't talked about on here before. We've talked about anime, we've talked about, white comics and cartoons and all that kind of stuff, but not manga. Darfox, I love manga.
So, well, yeah, I like manga too.
You have like a thread dedicated to it. You need to update that.
That thread is more like a Dakazu blog, because he reads so much manga, especially compared to everybody else.
I told him to make a goddamn blog already.
I don't know how you can read that much.
I read really fast.
Also,
read super fast.
The way you
But he
can
types
consume
really
manga.
slow.
What?
Manga is easier to consume than a white comic.
Well, yeah. I mean, in general, the way they... I've discussed this before, but the way they pace out the frames of, like, the pages, they tell a lot more of the story through the artwork.
That's
the visuals.
Either that or they
than
don't
the
tell you
writing.
shit. Because I read 50 chapters of Btooom yesterday.
Oh,
It
God,
took me like
why?
2 hours.
Btooom sucks.
Yeah, it kind of
why?
does suck. It just
Why?
meanders for so long. Because you talked about it and it had a picture.
You mean the manga cover that looks like a 360 thing?
Knockoff.
Yeah, that's the entire reason why I started reading it, and I was like, it's Battle Royale. That's what it is.
So no, it's not even Battle Royale, because Battle Royale is cool. It's Hunger Games. It's Hunger Games in a Call of Duty game.
You're not, and it's funny because you say Call of Duty game, but that is exactly what it is. That's even in the plot.
No, the dude is the best Call of Duty player in the world, and then he gets put into a real Call of Duty game where he has to kill people with real bombs.
Is he called
Yeah.
Fatality? That's a joke about Japan.
I forgot what the game is. It's not actual Call of Duty, but the game involves using bombs to kill other players, and then he wakes up, he's stuck on an island. He has real life bombs, and it's like, hey, survive.
And he has
Fight your way off the island.
amnesia.
So wait, is this like something previously established, like this existed, or is this the first time he's heard of this
No,
deathmatch?
he played the video game.
No,
that
he's
it
the best
basically
guy in the
is.
world at this video game.
Yeah,
he is.
but like the actual Aizen, doing this for realsies, is this something that they knew the government was doing this all the
No,
time?
it's just like something secret and out on like a desert island.
But it's
Okay.
it's
Deserted
it's
island,
being
so.
run by the creators of the game, and I think the plot is they are taking data from these real life people, and we're gonna use this mocap action.
That is so dumb.
It is
It's
pretty
stupid.
dumb.
It's dead. I already watched the show. It's called Dead Man Wonderland. It's really dumb.
Another manga, yes.
So every time we say Btooom, I always think of Badakadunk. Btoomadunk.
Yeah, Btooom is dumb. Don't read that. If you're gonna read a manga, read. Basically, what I'm gonna say is, for people who don't read manga at all, and they've heard about Naruto and Bleach and all these other popular things like One
Oh,
Piece.
yeah, avoid those like the plague.
Oh no, go read them. They're fun. You'll
read
spend
Claymore.
Well, okay, they're
you'll
fun.
spend forever reading them, and they'll never end.
No,
They'll be like a
they're fun
friend
and
that'll
they are
never
good
lose
in
you.
their own way. But
People-
like Kenzo said, they're so long. all those mangas. Hajime no Ippo, One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, they've all have so many fucking chapters. You'd have to start all the way at the beginning. Don't get me wrong, they're really good. You know, there's a reason they're popular. They're very well done.
But it's like a pet. You never have to worry about it dying. It's awesome. It's
Also,
always there for you.
It's
Wait,
a
isn't
shonen
Bleach
manga,
ending?
which means it's for young boys. You know, it's like if you're looking for something a little bit more mature, I would say, and if you just want in general like a good manga that isn't that long, read Pluto.
Yes.
If you want, no. If you want like a really good mature manga that's not very long, read Buddha.
That is long. That is not a bad choice either. I would say read Pluto. Pluto is easier to get into as far as like for like a beginner for manga.
Well, it's also
after you read Pluto, go read Buddha. How about that?
I don't know what Buddha's about. Is it about Buddha?
Yes. Okay. So, a little background. Pluto is a remake of Tezuka Osamu manga. Tezuka Osamu is known as the god, or like the godfather, or basically like the most popular and most famous manga artist to be around. Like, he was literally there when manga became a booming industry in Japan, and he wrote all the greats. And he's most famous known for his Tetsuwan Atomu, which is what's it called in the States?
Astro Boy.
Yeah, Astro Boy.
Oh.
Okay, it's super famous. Right? So this Pluto manga is a remake of one of the Astro Boy story arcs called The World's Mightiest Robot. And the guy who took this storyline and made it his own is Naoki Urasawa, who, how would you describe him, Darfox?
He is somebody who has like a lot of talent in many ways, but sometimes his stories are kind of like too confusing and up their own ass. It's a lot of conspiracies, a lot of characters. Not Pluto. Pluto is awesome because it avoids this stuff, but like 20th Century Boys fall into this where like it's kind of like Lost, where there's a billion questions and not many answers, and it's really mostly for show, like they bring something up, right, and then they make it super dramatic and exciting, but it doesn't really mean anything. It's just to pretend like it's dramatic or exciting.
He loves cliffhangers, especially in plots, in stories where he's writing his own plot. He's done a lot of work with he's done a lot of work as the artist with like a writer, and in those things it's mostly like more like episodic stories with like a recurring cast, like Pineapple Army or Master Key and stuff like that. But Pluto is just, it's awesome. It's really good. It's really well done. It's not that long.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the original Astro Boy story arc is basically about a really new strong robot comes out and he starts challenging other robots to fights.
Yeah.
Yes, and eventually he has to challenge Astro Boy because Astro Boy is obviously one of the world's strongest robots, right? And that's basically the arc, right? That's basically what the story is. In Pluto, that turns into like a murder mystery where all the world's most advanced AIs, not necessarily strongest robots, a lot of times they turn out to be really strong too, but all the world's most advanced AIs are getting murdered, like in Seven. They're getting murdered like in this really like grotesque specific way, and they call in a detective to try to find this killer. So it's kind of like a very gritty noir type take on the story.
Yeah, and the detective is also one of the robots. He's an original creation.
Spoilers. That's a very early spoiler.
That's like in the first. It's in the first
issue, but it was awesome. Like when I read that, I was like, okay, I remember why. Because before I read this, I read Monster, and when I read like that quick spoiler, like hell yeah, this is why I really liked Monster, because they basically showed this detective guy like chasing down this suspect, and then they show like a panel that's drawn really close to his face, and you see he's holding up some sort of gun, but you can't really see what the gun is. And then when he finally tackles the suspect, he tackles him on the floor and he points the gun at his face. And that's when he draws like a panel that's pulled back and you can see the whole image, and the gun isn't a gun he's holding. Like his finger turned into like a barrel of a gun. So like, oh shit, he's a robot too. And like, it's awesome. You didn't know he was a robot up to that point.
That's a robot.
Yeah, he's awesome about like framing panels, like building suspense. So sometimes it becomes obvious because
he loves cliffhangers.
Yeah, if you read a lot of stuff, you know when he's about to review something because there's a lot of tight shots on stuff because they're not showing you a lot of stuff what they've seen, right? So you know he's about to pull back and show you a new character or a returning character or somebody dead or some shit crazy.
Yeah,
but it's still super exciting.
There's a lot of scenes where the character's like, "Oh my god, it's you!" And then it's like, wait for the next chapter. He does it all the time, or sometimes he won't even show it in the next chapter. He'll just
That's like 80s white comic shit.
This is what this guy does. This is why Dark Fox loves him. But like, whenever like this guy like he started doing this on this one series called Monster, which is what Dark Fox just brought up. Monster was about this neurosurgeon who had to go track down like one of his former patients who ends up being like a murderer.
Mass murderer.
Yeah, a mass murderer.
And
yeah.
like super genius mastermind evil person.
Mm-hmm.
And he feels responsible for the sins because he once saved this guy's life, and he's also framed for some of his murders. So it's mostly like a fugitive story of him on the run, and he's trying to track down the killer himself.
Yeah. So his next work, 20th Century Boy, was about this guy and like how like a lot of the things that he did with his childhood friends, like I mean his childhood like grade school friends, they were starting to come back into his life as like a kind of a cult conspiracy, and again conspiracy.
Oh, that's what y'all were describing that one day, and I was like, this sounds ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And then
it is fucking bonkers.
His current story called Billy Bat, Dark Fox. I'll let you handle this one.
Well, like most of the stories, it starts off kind of differently of how it ends up. Like in Monster, it starts off as almost like a story about a surgeon, him dealing with the politics of the hospital. Sometimes the hospital is not concerned with saving lives. Sometimes they're concerned with making money, stuff like that, right? And then it turns into what it eventually becomes, which is like the fugitive story. And it's similar in Billy Bat, where it just seems like a story about this comic book artist. He's Japanese American. His name is Kevin Yamagata, and he created a character called Billy Bat, and he's kind of like an anthropomorphic bat. He looks a little bit like Mickey Mouse, but way cooler. And he's kind of like a detective character. He's kind of like a Dick Tracy hardboiled detective character. Because of some weird twist of fate, he hears that he might have ripped his character off from somebody in Japan, because he was in Japan, and he feared that he might have subconsciously copied the character without realizing it. So he travels to Japan to try to find the original artist of his character to apologize to him, and also asking, what do we do? Can I continue to draw this? Because he has a very strong moral center. It doesn't matter if he could like steal it from him. He doesn't want to steal it from him. And once he gets to Japan, things start to go crazy, because it turns out the stuff he's writing and the stuff the former writer of Billy Bat were prophetic, like it's predicting the future. And there's a good bat and a bad bat, and the good bat and the bad bat talk to people, and they make them draw like the future. And well, I kind of lost the plot in my head. Like, what else is this to this?
I'm just letting it wash over me right now.
So like, there's bad guys, right? And they're in allegiance with the bad bat, sort of. It seems like they want to control the bad bat, or maybe there's just one bat, but that can't be, because there's scenes that they actually show two bats next to each other and they're fighting.
Batman.
And at one point, it jumps to the past, and you see Jesus talking to the bat. And at one point, it jumps to like the past, and they're like ninjas in Japan, and that's pretty cool, but it's super random, right? Eventually, these things start tying together, but fucking dozens or freaking 50 chapters between each, like they put a seed down. He puts it like a seed down, like, oh, there's this squirrel in Japan, and then like 50 chapters later, now they're finally back to the squirrel. Like, you think about the squirrel now.
So I'm not gonna lie, I was bitching about Naoki Urasawa and Billy Bat, because I was like, oh, that's all the same, it's all the same. And then Dark Fox just gave the same explanation. I was like, I need to read this now.
So
Dark Fox. So I'm reading it right now, and I have to say it is the same stuff, but I am enjoying it, because this artist, he's just really good at like making you really interested in the storyline, and like all like the conspiracies and all like the suspense. My only problem with him is I feel like the payoff is never good. Okay, I think a lot of people who like Lost would say the same thing. You know, they didn't like the final episode.
It's definitely about the journey.
Yeah, it's about the journey. It's not so much about the ending, because whatever you imagine to be like the ending or whatever of a long journey, like it never lives up to expectations.
Yeah, and the one last thing I guess about Billy Bat specifically, because I'm not really recommending Billy Bat. I recommend Pluto. Pluto is like the prime recommendation. After that would come Monster, in my opinion. And then after that, well, actually you might disagree, because you say Master Keen is really good. I still haven't read that. But one last thing about Billy Bat is that it's kind of neat if you like conspiracy theories. It's very big on tying the main storyline to like existing conspiracy theories. One of the main characters was Lee Harvey Oswald for a while, and basically the evil organization was manipulating him to take the fall for the Kennedy assassination. Just now, the lunar landing conspiracy is entering the ploy where they hired like this Japanese director, basically the person who did the special effects for Godzilla. I think that's what they're trying to like.
Yep.
They're trying to imply that like the Godzilla special effect director, he actually filmed the lunar landing. But that hasn't quite happened yet. But he's in the process of building like the lunars, and I don't think he even knows he's doing that. I think he thinks he's doing it like a movie, but the government is actually going to use that as the actual footage for the supposed lunar landing doesn't exist. This is like a billion like conspiracy theories that, and it's kind of cool that like they make these conspiracy theories and make them like big plot lines where like Lee Harvey Oswald was like a main character, and he was kind of a very sympathetic character. He has some problems, but
listen, you're giving away some stuff. So let's just say at the point where Jesus shows up, and then like now there's time travel involved in the current storyline. Let's just leave it at that. If you like Lost, you'll probably really, 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 really like this.
Yeah,
I think, we told Darfox and I are saying, do not go read that first. If you're introducing yourself to manga, go read Pluto first.
Pluto is hot shit.
Pluto is really good. I could talk about manga some more, but we should probably move on.
I just had a wave of crazy hit me, but sure.
We wanted to talk about some of the new anime that we all saw. Kenzo, you want to lead this with the new Bones project?
Oh, what? Wait, what's going on?
Anime.
I was wondering if you were awake.
I'm sorry. I was chatting with Rodney on the lines because he's playing through 999 right now and he's freaking out.
In a good way or bad way?
In a good way. In a very good way.
Well, let's talk about anime that you wanted all to watch. You want to start with JoJo?
I think we should talk actually about the old animes that we last talked about when we were talking about animes.
You mean
because those had ended? Because we started talking about them, but that was just like in the beginning. So like, just we can touch on them really briefly.
What about Fujiko?
Yeah.
Okay, to remind everyone, this was the Lupin the Third series that had come out in forever, and it was all focused on it was stylized after the very original 70s style, like manga, the very original style.
70s, like 60s.
Sorry, the 60s style.
Yeah, it had like a sketch style.
Yeah, and the art was fantastic, and yeah, we were talking about how like great it was, but
you'd only seen like the first episode though.
Yeah. So after seeing the entire series,
what'd you guys think?
It was okay. I kind of did not like the ending at all. Let's say we are going to spoil this for people.
I'm not. No, it's fine. Let's spoil the shit out of this.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm with you. I really liked it up until kind of towards the end. I didn't hate the ending. I actually expected it to be a lot worse the way the story was going, but it was okay.
Well,
I thought it was kind of weird.
The entire storyline was like focused on Fujiko, which is like she's the female thief of the group, and it was kind of like the storyline seemed to be like setting her up and like explaining who she was, what her backstory was, right?
Right.
Say that she was taken in by this like crazy cult of scientists, and they were like manipulating her.
Well, raised by her and like experimented on her and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but sexually abused her and all kinds of crazy stuff.
That was all like a red herring. In the end, it turned out she was exactly what she's always has been, like a nebulous femme fatale, and somebody else was the person that she was flashed back into.
Yeah, she was brainwashed into thinking she was this other girl who actually, these things did happen to.
And in a meta context, it actually makes a lot of sense, and it's kind of cool just because, like, the entire time you're hearing like, oh, this is who Fujiko really is, and I'm like, that just feels so wrong. Like this doesn't make sense, or this isn't the Fujiko that I'd always thought of in my head, right? And it turns out no, red herring.
Well, yeah, because she acted very differently during the series, like during specific times. At the beginning, you were like, oh, like it's Fujiko, but then like other times, remember like the one story where Lupin had to save the tattoo girl, she was going ape shit. She's like, I gotta kill her. I gotta kill this girl. I gotta kill this girl.
I don't think that was that like out of character for her, because I mean, she's not a thief. Like, she's an assassin. She's all kinds of things. She's a spy. She's kind of like a jack of all trades and a sellsword. But the stuff that really was just like unnerving was just like when she like fall apart into like little girl mode. It's like, that's not what she'd ever do. That's weird.
Well, I was being open to that part because I was like, well, we're supposed to be learning about Fujiko, so It's supposed to be her backstory. Maybe this is how she is.
In my mind, she has very like femme fatale like upbringing, like not unlike the movie, what's it called, Femme Nikita,
Mm-hmm.
where she's like raised as like this government spy or whatever, and just like total badass assassin killer woman, and then for one reason or other she just breaks free and just starts doing her own thing and living for herself, right?
I guess that type of story would have been too predictable to tell that type of story. So they kind of went like with this kind of weird, crazy, kind of disturbing story, but then they kind of said it's actually not true.
Predictability is not as bad.
No, but
it's not.
It's also annoying though, Cross, because it's like we're supposed to see like this giant, huge story arc for this character, but then at the end, everything goes back to nothing's really changed. You
I don't really
back the point.
I don't really mind that, just because it's actually been like a recurring theme in like just Lupin the Third in general. Is just that like it doesn't really matter. Like they've almost explicitly said it. It doesn't really matter where he comes from. It matters more that what he is, what he stands for, and stuff. Right? They actually made a whole movie based around the idea that like maybe Lupin doesn't have like an origin. Like he's kind of like
he's an idea.
Yeah, he's an idea. He's like Batman basically. Like he's a meme. Because then like there's a movie about somebody else, like not only just some like a bunch of copycats pretending to be Lupin, and then some other dude who actually is deserving of the title or whatnot, and he gets recognized by the real Lupin who runs around. Because they're like, how can this dude like continue to be who he is and do what he does after like 40 years, right? It's very kind of meta, but I don't mind there being like no real backstory for some of these characters, because just they don't really need it. It's more important what they do, not where they came from,
But what they're doing during the show is awesome.
I mind less if they actually use this show as a jump off to like another series relatively soon.
Yeah, I would love it, but I don't think that this did very well, to be honest.
That sucks, because I especially like their take on who's the Zenigata. Yeah,
he's fucking badass.
Yeah,
He's
was
the inspector,
awesome.
right?
Yeah, he's like usually he's like the bumbling idiot. In this series, Cross, he's awesome. He's like he's all business.
He shoots to kill, and he fucks chicks, and he's just crazy. He's like, I do what I want. I'm a man.
What color is Lupin's shirt, jacket?
It's green. It's the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like they had some origin of like the group. They kind of showed how Jigen and Lupin met, and they had like this awesome gun duo. Reminded me a lot of Trigun.
Yeah, that was actually probably part of the best points in the show, is when on Fujiko and they're just showing like Lupin doing Lupin things.
Yeah, like they was like Jigen fell pretty quickly into like a sidekick mode where Lupin needed him, and then he came over and joined them.
But yeah, great show.
I love how they got the original voice actor for Jigen is still around.
I kind of don't like it.
He should be like 90.
He kind of is.
But I know you were complaining, like we were talking about this before, Kenzo, like the original voice cast, like you said, like the last movie they had Zenigata, he just sounded so tired and bust. But in this series, at least, the guy who played Jigen, he still sounded really good.
I mean, he doesn't sound bad yet, but like you can tell he's getting kind of old and a little less enthusiastic. Because if you go back and watch like some of the really old stuff, like he's yelling all the time and he's like crazy and stuff. And in this, he's a little more like just kind of more delivering the line, just reading from paper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shall we move on though? Because this older season. Is there another old series you want to cover, or want to talk about the new stuff?
Just really
talk
fast.
About Space Brothers.
That's just a show. I'm enjoying it. It's really slow though.
I will just say Space Brothers. The anime is super duper slow paced. It's about this guy who decides to become an astronaut after his younger brother has been chosen to become the first Japanese astronaut to land on the moon. They made a promise as kids that they would both land and move together, but he has fallen to the wayside, and now that he's in his mid-30s, he's going to pursue his dreams again, and it's all about him, trying to become an astronaut. And it's really good. I got the
impression that he wasn't in his mid-30s. He's in his like late 20s, maybe early 30s.
Okay.
So did I. I only saw the first episode though.
But it's a good show. If you're watching it like every week as the episodes come out, I could see you getting really impatient with it. But it's also really, if you marathon it, I think it's one of those shows that's better to marathon, because then each episode really only has about 18 minutes of meat in it, and you can skip like the previews and the credits and stuff, and you can just
It takes its time and it does its job really well.
right. But if you
Consuming content episodically sucks, no matter what.
yeah, but if you watch it all back to back to back, that's how I fell off the bandwagon for a little bit, and then I watched like 5 or 8 episodes back to back, and just like, oh, that's really awesome. So that's kind of what I've been doing.
There's also a manga, but I don't think it's been translated. Pluto that we mentioned before, you can find it anywhere. I suggest looking at like Manga here or like Manga Panda or like any of those online sites where they have it.
Oh, really quick. Also, Kids on the Slope. I want to get Dark Fox's opinion on that one.
Kids on the Slope is really cool. It's like it's kind of all about like frustrated like teenagers or pre-teenagers, but it's not a frustrating show. Usually I really hate those shows.
Yeah.
But most of the characters are they go through these things pretty logically, even if they do have like these illogical like flares of emotions. They usually come back down and they try to apologize. And on top of that, it's like directed by the same guy who did Cowboy Bebop, and it has like most of the cool like editing. Like his shows flow really good.
They have great pacing.
Also, the show is about like these kids in is it the 70s or the 60s? I forget what.
It's the
timeline
60s.
is.
Like
it's the 60s, and they make a jazz band in Japan, and so the music is done by Yoko Kanno. Is that it?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the same person who did Cowboy Bebop's music.
Mm-hmm. So the music is awesome.
I wouldn't say it's as good as Cowboy Bebop, but it's still like really good and worth it. Like Dark Fox says, like usually I don't enjoy these genres. These what's the demographic called?
Shoujo.
Yeah.
Shoujo, which means girl comics, and it's predominantly because like it's about relationships and like feelings and interpersonal relationships. Yeah.
But I mean, like those get really frustrating just because the characters are really dumb, or they, a lot of the strife is just because people can't communicate with each other and they just like misinterpretations.
Have you guys
all over
ever
the
had
place.
to sit through some like Sex in
That
the
sounds
City?
like a comic.
Sex in the City.
No.
I've seen the entire show.
So Kenzo, you know how if you watch Sex in the City and you're watching how some of like the characters act, you're like, that's so stupid. Why would you act like that? You're setting yourself up to fail.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah, no, that's
For the sake of a show.
none of that stuff though is in here. Like if there's drama, it's like legitimate drama. Like someone has a fucked up family life, or like someone's trying to make grades, or these kind of things get in the way of life, and it's just like they deal with it in a way like actual human beings would deal with it, as opposed to just like mentally handicapped individuals would.
Yeah, like the main character, he's typically kind of an antisocial guy. He never had that much friends, and in the beginning of the series, he meets like a friend, and they're like the two main characters. They're kind of like an odd couple. Like they don't have much in common except for music. And later on in the series, like he identifies like pop music as something that is dumb, and he and his friend wouldn't be into. And later on in the series, his friend joins like a pop band, and in that brief moment, he sees it as like a betrayal, and he kind of wigs out.
Yeah,
he kind of like breaks up with the.
He gets
guy.
irrational and stuff, but then. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm saying that like it's irrational and it was dumb of him, but at the same time, he's a very sympathetic character, and there's like probably the only friend he's really had in his whole life, and he felt like it was getting like dragged away from him.
And then it gets resolved pretty fast as well, so it's not something that like gets lorded over the entire show. And they come to a pretty sensible and reasonable conclusion about it too. Like it's not like
it was an epic conclusion.
It's not like he thought that. How do I put this? I mean, it's not like he was completely antisocial to the degree that he couldn't like relate to his friend. Like once he realized what was going on in his friends, like what his situation was, he's like, oh shit, I feel like an asshole.
Yeah, and not to spoil too much, but like when they made up, it was like this awesome orgasmic live session that they did. And it's pretty much the best scene in the show.
Sorry, I'm only saying because when I didn't watch the anime, I read all the manga because it's based on manga, and there are so many shots and scenes and frames of like these two guy characters just looking longingly at each other's eyes. It's fucking like shoujo and like yaoi bait.
Yeah, definitely. But
a
lot of that is played down in the show. It's not as big of a deal.
God.
And because there's like in the manga, all you got is like these still shots and just like people looking at each other's eyes and whatnot, and there's sparkles. But like, no, I mean, just having music there in the background just makes everything so much more different. because it gives everything like, a kind of tone as opposed to just like, oh, it's just yaoi bait and stuff, right?
Especially if it's being put together by Shinichiro Watanabe. The guy, the show's flow.
We said before on our anime talk that you should check out Cowboy Bebop. It's definitely a good anime series to get into.
Yeah,
I actually started rewatching that. Like I watched a few episodes. Hearing Steve Bloom not like super monotone showing emotion, I was like, whoa, his range.
but yeah, if you liked Cowboy Bebop specifically because of the music or because it was just well made, go for that show. I think most
Kids
people
on
would
the
actually
Slope.
like it. Yeah.
Let's move on to new stuff though. Do you want to talk about the Bones one or JoJo first?
Let's talk about JoJo first, because everyone's got something to say
Oh
about
my
that.
God, JoJo! Okay, so you don't know. For those of you who don't know, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a manga series that have been running forever, and they have had like different series and plots and stuff like that. I think they're up to series 8 now, but the most popular series is series 3. Which is what if you played like the fighting game, that's what Series 3 is based on. If you've seen the anime that came out a couple years back, that's also based on Series 3. This is Series 1. This is like the originating plot about like the Jotaro family, JoJo's struggle against Dio. And this anime made me laugh so much watching it. Holy cow.
They have great like speed lines and just like, oh, what are those words called when they're supposed to stand?
Wait, what's that? You broke
Like
it.
the characters or like an onomatopoeia?
Yeah, they have like onomatopoeias flashing across the screen and stuff.
Oh God, that was so funny. So there's
So it's just like super ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just hilarious because, just to sum up the storyline a little bit, this is explaining the entire JoJo series, especially the first 3 series. They're based on like the main character JoJo from the Joestar family and their struggle against this evil force character named Dio Brand.
How great of a name is just Joestar? Fuck.
It's so fucking 70s 80s, and it's just glam rock, and like it's hilarious because the entire series, if you read the manga too, they're just striking Vogue poses all over the place, right? It's just
such
hilarious.
great poses.
Yeah, it's just
It's like
hilarious.
buff guys being buff.
Yeah, it's so good, and just hilarity just ensues, and it was so funny. I laughed so hard when like Dio kissed the girl. And like the 2 guys are watching, like, oh my God, he did it! He totally did it! Like, it's such an overreaction to just the fact that he kissed this girl.
He's done everything that we dreamed of doing.
Exactly. It was so stupid, and I forgot how evil that guy is. That guy's a dick.
Yeah, how come he's so evil?
I forgot when I was reading the manga too, and then like if you notice, JoJo just gets the shit beat out of him in the first episode, and I think that continues for a while. Like it.
Oh, I got a question because I actually didn't know about the JoJo Bizarre. Like I knew of it, but I didn't know what it was about.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like the second episode is gonna be a time skip. Is he instantly like a badass now? Because he was sort of a not a pushover, but too much of a goody two shoes for his own good.
My understanding is that this first episode blew through a lot of like manga in one go.
I think it blew through like almost the first full volume and into the second one. I read through JoJo a long time, and also, like I said, JoJo has like it's up 8 different storylines, like full story series,
and it's like dynastic, right? Like it goes into like how they grow up, and then you see their kids and stuff like that.
Series 2 is about the current JoJo's son. Series 3 is about like his grandson Jotaro. Series 4 is about this other like relative. Series 5 is actually about one of Dio's relatives. Series 6 about Jotaro's daughter. Series 7 is a complete reboot. It's exactly. It's so long.
Wait, so in all this time, the Joestars and the brand never mingle? That seems unrealistic.
Like they never like
Romeo and Juliet.
They
like
don't fuck.
opposing families getting it on.
The first 3 series are completely about the Joestar family and Dio fighting, and specifically Dio. Okay, not even like a relative Dio. Because Series 5 is actually about like Dio's son or Dio's ancestor. I forget. Ancestor is the wrong word. What's the opposite word?
Progeny.
Yeah, progeny. But they pretty much never get along. The 5th series about Dio's progeny is a little better. It actually doesn't deal with JoJo so much at all.
Oh no.
Okay, so this stone mask, is that just like an evil force, or are they actually gonna wear that and go Super Saiyan?
You'll see. I don't want to spoil things.
Well, I mean, that's the stuff that gives them their powers in the game. Am I right?
No, because the game. Okay, when Series 3, it's really hard to explain this. I'm just gonna preface this. This is like, man, this must be what it's like when I listen to you guys explain superhero things. I just roll my eyes constantly.
No, I find it interesting. That's the difference. You don't find it interesting.
Oh, touche.
Roll.
No, listen. So, Series 3 was about, like, these stands. And, like, in the fighting games, like, you had, like, your soul, like, would manifest itself as, like, the stand, which would be this creature. And, like the main stand for Jotaro was a Star Platinum. And they would use those guys to fight. Series 1 is about using the power of Hado or, like, wave energy. That's gonna come up later.
Hado Kid. I'm gonna just say that Jotaro is gonna meet a mentor, is gonna train him, and things are gonna go down. It's pretty generic, so you can just imagine what's gonna happen. Okay, that's all I'll say.
By the way, how great was that ending music? I just thought that was like perfect for like just a bizarre adventure.
Well, both these shows that we're going to talk about, JoJo and the other one, had like English lyrics in their ending.
Well, this isn't just like English lyrics. This is a real song by a real band. This is Yes. Roundabout by Yes. Yeah. Totoro should totally edit that in there at the end.
Maybe we'll see.
Hey, I love it. Hey, I love Yes.
There you go. Look it up. Roundabout.
Do you love Bizarre Adventures?
Not long distance runaround, but Roundabout.
Yep.
Let's talk about the other show though.
So did
how they're pronounced?
Zetsuen no Tempest?
Okay.
Wait, what is that?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Just like the awful Tempest or something like that?
It's not Zetsuen.
Something of the Tempest.
I'll look it up. You guys talk.
Okay, so that sure was a show. I really liked it though.
Yeah.
What's it about?
I kind of struggle to tell you what it was about.
It's about witches
like an
and magic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but like in the first episode, it introduced like a lot of people, so it's kind of confusing. And like I didn't really know who people were until towards the end. Or like, okay, now I kind of have a bearing on these characters.
Yeah, I had to rewatch the beginning
where they're going
because it's a very like this is made by Studio Bones, and I know
they
you
made
hate
Eureka 7. Well, they're okay, but I have complaints about them. They did Eureka 7, which I actually like. They made Star Driver, which I hate.
So good. They made.
I'm just surprised.
Rain,
I'm just surprised. Like, there's
no
no giant robot in this.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna fight something giant. Seems in the second episode.
I think it's because Eureka 7, like, they were in charge of making the 7. Same thing with Star Driver. This is based on a manga, which they are not a source.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't help write it.
Oh yeah, speaking of Eureka 7, they're wrapping that one up pretty soon. The sequel to that.
Ayo.
I like how like that we were talking about. Oh, is it like a separate series? Is it a direct sequel?
Oh no, it's a direct sequel.
It's a direct.
That's
sequel.
kind of disappointing, but whatever. It's finally getting interesting at the very end. They spend a lot of time just kind of like wading water.
Well, that's why I told you at the beginning,
Treading
Kenzo,
water,
when they were
sort of.
like, "Oh, it's Owl," and I was like, "Oh, it must be their kid, right?" And they were like, "No, we don't know that. It could be a prequel." Pfft.
It really was aiming towards being something else. It actually kind of is a prequel. It's a sequel and a prequel. This is they're leaning towards this being, you know, events that happen 10,000 years in the future or in the past of the original show.
Man, let's go back to Zetsuen the Tempest,
But yeah.
which is actually the Forsaken Tempest.
Okay, there we go.
It's about witches.
It's about witches. Pretty cool.
So like maybe it was just a translation, like the sub. But when the main character was saying stuff like this stuff is unbelievable, but like was that trying to imply that maybe he is involved with magic previously in some form and he can't remember?
Hold on, what? Oh, okay, so I know in the beginning they were quoting Shakespeare, and this manga is actually pretty obsessed with like Shakespeare. So sometimes it's probably just quoting Shakespeare because it sounds cool.
Well, maybe like I only read the first chapter of the manga. I didn't see the anime, but is it based off Shakespeare's The Tempest?
It probably has something to do with that.
I don't know what that is.
It's a Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Cultured swine.
Yeah, I wouldn't know yet because
But in The
it's
Tempest
really early.
there are magicians and sorcerers on an island, so it would not be far off. Now that I think about it.
Okay, yeah. So one of the plot points is that there's the world's strongest sorceress or whatever.
She is the
She's
princess.
stranded on the island.
The princess
Yeah,
of all sorcerers.
She's
or
stranded
something.
Yeah, she.
Island by her own kind of like guards. These people are basically her servants or whatever because she's part of like some powerful family. And her family, even though she's supposed to be the head of the family, they strand her on this island because out in this deserted island, she doesn't have enough whatever around her in order to actually use magic, so she won't be a threat to their plans, which is to releasing this Tempest that will probably spell the end of the earth. But whatever.
It makes crazy shit happen in the show, like butterflies appear. And,
Butterflies
like,
appear.
out of the
People turn to iron.
Yeah, they called it the iron sickness or something.
Something.
And oh man, how good was that fight in the middle of the show?
Yeah, at the very least, like the fights were like really well animated and pretty creative.
That's always something that I love about Studio Bones is when they do put effort into a fight, it's really, really good.
I would have to agree upon that. That's the one of the few aspects of Star Driver I liked.
Mm-hmm. So like that girl with the shotgun, she seems to be like some sort of magic hater, some sort of bitter mogul or something. She doesn't seem to be with the bad guys, people who want to resurrect the Tempest or whatever.
Well, for people listening, all you need to know is there's a main character who seems, at this moment, he just kind of seems like he might just be an observation guy, like you're living the story
like
through
fish
him.
out of water.
Yeah, like he's just experienced this story and crazy stuff with you.
He's just a regular kid,
and
he has a best friend who he goes to school with, and neither of them really have like the nicest things to say about each other, which is kind of, I think, an interesting dynamic. Like one describes the other as kind of like a con artist, and the other one's like, yeah, that guy's an asshole. He'd never do anything for anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But so one of the characters had like a crush on the other one's sister, but then that sister, along with his entire family, gets murdered. So he just kind of like disappears for like about a year, and no one knows where he is. And it turns out he's just kind of like having like a personal journey that's like, I want to say, self-exploration. And he stumbles upon a message from this magician trapped on an island. She's like, I will help you with my magic, hunt down the people who killed your family if you help me out with my issue. So that's...
Yep.
So like after...
That's the setup.
Yeah, so after about a year of being gone, he just shows up in his old friend's life, and everything is just like turned to... Yeah, everything just hit the fan at this point.
But you said he had a crush. I'm pretty sure they were dating, and he knew they were dating because they were talking like that. And he asked him like, "Oh, you have like a new couple?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Right. It's not the most clear what's going on there, but it's at the very least like they had just begun a relationship or something.
I'm sure they'll get into it.
I think she's going back. If I had to guess, I think she's gonna come back at some point. Yeah.
I think she's just gonna be kind of like this like where she's just always there in the background.
She's always running by, and her hair is always flapping in her face.
No, it's just one of this goddamn stupid literary devices where it's something that they always strive to like therefore. Like, oh, in your memory, I'll be a better man.
Can we talk about the end of the show, or also the end of the chapter with a giant fucking fruit coming out of the ocean, covered in chains?
That's cool.
That has an eyeball on it.
Was it a fruit? I thought it was just a boulder.
It looks like a kind of like an egg that is just like cracking, and then like an eye pops out.
Is this going to be a giant robot, bone style, giant creature?
They're
going to fight with them.
Humanoid monster.
All of this like cultish group. They're all what's it called? Doing incantations around like this little tree, and they're trying to bring back some tree. And you explained it as kind of like a fruit, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's like not some kind of a flora theme going on.
It's hard to say. I'll tell you, it looks more interesting than I originally thought. The manga art is fucking terrible. Like I might actually watch the anime along with you guys.
The show art is really, really good, so
I'll have to take a look.
Yeah,
it's
a show that has some like fan service, some girls wearing some kind of stuff, but it's not like annoying or creepy.
that's also one of the reasons why I like Bones generally is like sometimes there is that kind of stuff, but usually it has like some kind of context, or it's not like super gratuitous. Like the only fan servicey bits is there's this girl in like a ripped up homemade bikini, but that's because she's been living on a deserted island for like a year, right?
Oh yeah, and the hitman girl, but she was kind of like a goth hitman femme fatale.
Yeah, but I mean, she didn't have. You didn't see like massive amounts of cleavage and stuff or anything, and super boob jiggle. I watched another show from this upcoming fall season that was all like that. It's like, oh, that's terrible, so terrible.
Mhm.
There's a lot of terrible anime stuff going on. Let's just recap really quick with the anime, and I want to move on to a TV show you guys will be excited that I'm watching.
Mm-hmm.
This is the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is running right now in Japan. And this is based on Series 1. Also, this is Zetsuen no Tempest. That's the one about the sorcerers we were just talking about.
You know, and on both these
Also
shows, actually all these shows we just mentioned, I think you should be able to see them on Crunchyroll or some other like popular streaming sites. So it's yeah.
The internet.
I mean, but it's there. That's anime may be dying, but if you're down with like streaming stuff, it's actually access to it has never been better. So
Crunchyroll is really good. It is a really good service. It's basically the Hulu of anime, and they only run like I forget if they run like ads in the middle, but in general, it's just really good. They have a lot of stuff on there.
Hulu wishes it could be the Hulu of anime.
There's a lot of anime on Hulu too.
Oh, Totoro wants us to mention that there's a
Some really
Crunchyroll
dumb
app on the
shit.
PS3 right now as well, and I think they planned a 360 app as well.
That would probably be behind gold.
Yeah, but
that sucks.
Trash.
I'll talk about that later. Yeah, let's talk about. Can we talk about Young Justice?
Absolutely.
No, we hate white
CrossXhunter
comics.
right now.
Absolutely.
You guys like every week have been like on the mobile server, like, have you seen Young Justice? And you guys were talking about it, so I was like, yeah, let me find out what the big deal about it is.
Because it's a pretty fucking big deal.
Well, not every week. It's plagued by horrible issues.
Oh, consistency.
Of being
Yeah.
on hiatus for like months at end.
You know, I think
Okay.
I don't think that's like the show's fault. I think it's Cartoon Network's fault. I think they want to space it out.
No, it's like literally. I remember nearish the end of season 1 when they had about 6 or 7 episodes left. They were just like, yeah, these episodes aren't finished yet, so we're going to get a few of them in the can. That's why they were able to start season 2 so quickly, and by so quickly I mean literally the week after season 1 ended.
But it's so sad though, because like, are you sure that's the case? Because they had like a Halloween episode and a New Year's episode, and it just felt really weird to watch them not on Halloween and on New Year's. Like, they planned them to do all along, right?
Well, the show has a very strict like timeline that it follows. It took like over a year and a half for the first like 22 episode season.
But yeah, I want to know specifically what Dakazu's thought of it and like how far he's gotten along so far.
Okay, so I started watching it and I thought it was a very good. It was a very competent show. It was not a bad show at all. But I was kind of watching it. I was like, okay, so every episode we're kind of focusing on stuff. I just saw the episode, spoilers, it's like the 11th episode, I think, is where Robin and Artemis have to fight off these red tornado.
Red Torpedo and Red Inferno.
Okay, so I don't know any of this.
That was a good episode.
But basically it ends with like Red Tornado being kidnapped or disappearing or just, he's gone. And I was like, oh shit is getting good. I told Kenzo specifically, I was like, that was a good episode.
They're all good episodes.
I'm excited. Well, they're not, like I said, they're not bad, but I wasn't excited to really excited to watch the next episode now. Like,
you see, I think you're so used to
lines.
just like manga and anime having just like from the onset just an ongoing plot that always happens, and you're not really used to like say the old style formula of just like every episode being self-contained. And
no, I am. It's just like when things are self-contained, then usually you're not that invested in them. That's what I'm saying. Now that we are getting into something with, we're going, the plot is really moving forward now.
With Young Justice, there's always was this kind of like ongoing plot, but in the beginning, I think it's very intentional that they focus just on like episode to episode. Exactly, because they're trying to introduce, this big cast of like dozens of characters, and so they spend time, I think rightly so, focusing on them before they get on to moving into all this other nonsense, because they do a really good job of grounding these characters and like introducing them if you don't know what's up with DC.
And not just introducing them individually, it's also like setting relationships up. Like they're not all friends immediately. Like, and even when they're all friends, sometimes one of them doesn't like the other, but they still have to work together and have to learn to respect each other.
Yeah, I mean, like typical stuff. I'm enjoying it.
Typical stuff.
only mean like it's not like the most. Only saying typical stuff because I've seen it before. Dark Books.
Okay.
Kenzo, did you start watching this show from the very beginning? That means you were watching it before the new 52
so I was like,
happened.
I don't know who this guy is. Like, what the fuck is an Artemis?
Right. She's actually created for the show, but yeah, I could understand that.
Wasn't Aqualad this version of Aqualad created for the show?
Pretty much, but he featured in comics like a month or two before the show actually aired.
I mean, as like a black Aqualad, right? Yeah, but I mean, there's definitely a story of Aqualad and then Black Manta, right?
Well, not like. Well, I'm not going to say that because that'll spoil something later.
Don't spoil it. It was just funny because I started watching the show and I was here on Mumble with Kenzo. I was like, why is there a black guy is Aquaman's apprentice?
Why not? Why are you so focused on race here? What the feezy?
No, I was
They're
just confused.
Atlanteans.
I was like,
they're Atlanteans. Why don't they?
Wait, because I was assuming. I was like, wait, is that his kid?
Who's your favorite member of the team so far?
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah, because you haven't got to the good part.
Even though I think the first beginning is good, the second part is just so awesome. It's like, wow, that was really awesome. I like
Robin, and spoilers, they just kind of revealed that he is whatchamacallit. He is Dick Grayson.
They show like little things in the episodes, like I'm not sure what episode it is, but it'll show like a picture of him from his school.
They don't say it's him until later.
It doesn't say it's him, but it says Dick Grayson. It says Dick Grayson, and you kind of put it together that, well, it just showed Robin fly by here. This is his school.
Because he likes these dumb puns. I thought that was a really good play on like the original, Robin, how he likes his, these stupid puns.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
He has to be wordplay.
Yeah.
Are you talking about like the whelmed? Why does it need to be a
Yeah. Like, I thought that was like really good.
Oh man, I love Dick Grayson, best Robin. I don't care what you gotta say.
All right, then you shall not listen to me. Because Tim Drake is obviously the best Robin.
Tim
Drake. You get to look forward to meeting him later on, Dakazu.
Cool.
I still believe, Kenzo, you should definitely read the Young Justice comic also. I can totally do that for you. It's only 21 issues in, I believe. It's not like the current catch-up project you're in.
Did you guys want to talk
all
about
of Green Lantern?
Like the current comics that you're
It's like,
well, not all of Green Lantern.
Yeah, it's like a decade worth of Green Lantern.
Yeah, like 04 to present, and Green Lantern Corps, and Green Lantern.
It's pretty good so far. Love me some Green Lantern. He is turning into my favorite superhero. Well, the family is, I should say.
The Green Lantern Corps is just a really cool idea.
I thought
the space cops.
Hearing it described on like specifically on the Comic Conspiracy podcast, like I was like, oh, this just sounds fucking retarded. It's like this green guy and he's got a special ring. Like, what the fuck? But he's actually really cool.
And
I know he's supposed to be kind of like a tongue-in-cheek kind of like commentary on just like American machismo and bravado and stuff, but like.
Oh, is he the guy with the jacket and like the red hair?
Oh yeah.
The bow haircut.
He's a total bro. He's awesome. He's awesome for it.
You need to, because you're doing that, you really need to watch the Green Lantern TV show, the little animated one. It's like 14 episodes in now, and I caught up like a few days ago. It took me like 2 days to watch them. It's so good. It changes very slight things, but it's so good.
I'm sorry, I watched the first episode and I thought it was okay, but it's just really, really ugly.
Yeah, you have to get over that animation style.
What is it?
It's like it's like Bruce Timm stuff, to where like it's the super wide shoulders, like super slim
so it
layers
looks like
and
the
stuff.
old Justice League stuff.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, except in 3D.
Is it well animated at least?
Well, it's
it's pretty well
animated.
Okay.
That like their emotions are fluid and it doesn't look awkward, but.
You can see,
but
they use their rings creatively at points.
The art is just super simple, and like the backgrounds have like almost no thought put into them.
Because that would take, like, especially the first episode where they're just like on that weird deserty planet.
That's the easiest fucking thing to make, right?
It changes later. Yeah, they change it later to where like the environments they get into actually get more involved and stuff, and get to meet some cool characters.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to turn out. It'll probably be like the Clone Wars one, where the first season was just kind of like a trial, and like, let's see how this works out. And then by the second, exactly. But by the second season, they actually managed to staff it properly and
I
then
hear
fund
that
it
shit's
properly,
great.
which the first season never is on those things.
My current comic book catch-up project that I actually started a little while ago, but I've gotten more into it recently is Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm about 20 issues in, and it's like
I heard
probably
that
like almost
starts out
200
really good,
now.
and then lately it's just been really terrible.
It does start out pretty good. I find the art to be really, really ugly, but I know it gets better because I've read like later volumes of it, like just glanced through them, and I'm like, when does this guy's art start to look like this? Because I'm pretty sure it's the same exact guy.
Oh, that happens in White Comics too, because if you read like One Piece or Naruto,
look at the beginning of Naruto.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks kind of like ass.
Original.
Well, I actually prefer it. Yeah, like I'm with Kenzo. I actually liked like how it was more SD and like it was more
It's
like
grungy.
It's hard to say. It seems like it's more streamlined now. It's the best way I would say.
Yeah,
it.
because
Well, it's not just he pumps it out. Like I'm sure originally he was drawing it all himself, and when you become a big manga artist in Japan, like you get a staff, and they basically draw it for you.
Oh, they don't. No. Okay, they're drawing all the backgrounds. They're drawing all the the mob characters.
They help with inking.
Yeah, they
so
do all the
basically,
effects.
they draw it for you.
You are still in charge
you're
of
describing most of what is made.
You are still in charge of drawing all the characters. You're still
It's like White Comics. You have a penciler, an inker, a colorist. What the hell do they call
but they are
those?
still in charge of like
letterer.
framing everything.
Which,
like the Naruto guy, like a lot of manga artists, they come up with their own stories and their own storyboards.
Right.
They work with the editor,
but, I mean,
obviously.
he's not
but
working
still.
completely solo anymore. You know what I mean? Like he's hit the big time.
Mm-hmm.
But I just like I can.
Well, sometimes they want to evolve
why I like regional stuff because it looks kind of dirty and grungy. Like the world feels really grounded in the first however many years that this manga was around. It just felt like it wasn't a huge. It's like there are these ninjas and they kind of use like ninja powers, but they're not all that outrageous. Now we've got dudes like picking up entire islands and flying through the air with them, and it's totally gone off in like DBZ crazy land. It doesn't feel as grounded. It doesn't feel as dirty and gritty anymore. It's just like super clean. No one dies.
Yeah, I don't really want to get into Naruto discussion. I think we need to wrap up soon and take a quick break, and then we're gonna swap Kenzo out for Biggie soon. Is there any final wrap up stuff you want to say? I want to mention another manga real quick. Anyone?
Mangas be cool, animes be neat.
Continue watching Young Justice.
Oh,
catch
Cross,
up
you
with
gotta
us.
also watch that one show that I was talking to you about, Natsuki Rendezvous. Yeah, that's another super girly show, but I mean it's done really well and it's relatively short.
Character relationships. I did.
Yeah, it's about a guy who has like this huge ass crush on this kind of like older lady. It's basically Mason Ikoku, but what if like the dead ex-husband was like still hanging around as a ghost and only the potential love interest could see that ghost and interact with him. It's actually kind of interesting. And
that's
wait, there's a supernatural element too?
Yeah.
Did you just oh god, like I watched some of the first episode and then I didn't. And
it happens towards the end of that episode. Like he's hanging out trying to get to know her, and then he comes over to her house, and then like he sees the husband there, and he's like, oh, I see how it is. Like you have a husband, you're just leading me on. And then he like storms off in a huff, but he doesn't realize that that's a ghost. And so then later on he figures out, holy shit, that's a ghost, and he flips out. And then the ghost just does ghosty things to try to distract him. It's interesting.
I actually have tomorrow off, so I'll probably watch. I need to watch Young Justice and Green Lantern. I might watch an episode or two of that.
You should also read Pluto.
I will never read a manga ever again.
Fuck you, read Pluto.
Not after the greatness that is Btooom.
I really can't believe you wasted time reading that.
Yeah, I wasted about 2
I'm gonna make
hours.
one final manga suggestion, just like my personal favorite manga right now. It's Jisatsuto or Suicide Island. Go find it.
My favorite is
awesome.
3x3 Eyes, but only if you read like the first 6 or 7 trades of it. Don't go for the rest.
That's because that manga jumps the shark just like Naruto. That's probably freaking leaps over the shark.
Jumps over
like,
the
all
shark
over the
and
place.
beats the shark into the ground with like fists made of, I don't know, something retarded.
It gets
basically
what we're saying is that manga goes crazy. But Suicide Island, it's really good. It's not a battle royale clone. It really is. It's a survival manga. And it's a survival manga about a bunch of teens stuck on an island by themselves
So it's
who are
a
all
Lord of the
suicidal.
Flies knockoff instead, is what you're saying.
Yes, actually, that is a great way of putting it. But it's really, really good.
Cool.
It's really good. So we will take a quick break,
I'm out,
and then we
bitches.
will be back. All right.
I'll be the roundabout. The words will make you out and out. I spend the day away.
And we're back. Let's reintroduce ourselves because we switched up the cast.
Oh, shit, I'm first. Start again.
Now I can't because they're literally outside my window again. Give me 1 second. Okay, they stopped. And we are back. We have switched up the cast a little bit, so let's reintroduce ourselves. I'm still Dakazu.
I'm Biggie.
CrossXhunter.
Darfox 8.
And Totoro is still recording as our engineer. Say hi.
Spy stepping my century.
Nope.
I haven't played TF2 in so long. I just
Same here.
I normally have work for game mornings and game nights. I like to do other things.
Yeah, I've been going to work on Sunday afternoons during when game time happens. So
Just a little bit on Sunday, but usually not that much. I kind of miss it, though.
we'll get back on it, I think. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of different games. I just got DOA after listening to last week's podcast.
I can't do that because you feel like you can get good. I feel like I would never get good or good enough.
I'm pretty sure I'll never be really good at this game. I'm more of a 2D fighter guy. Like, I like Street Fighter a lot, so X said I'm terrible at Virtua Fighter. I think he was over-exaggerating a little bit, but yeah, I'm not very good. So I'm trying to learn. Right now I'm using my fight stick, and I'm learning that my fight stick is in the process of dying. My up left is not working correctly.
How much did it cost you when you originally purchased it?
I think it was this is a Street Fighter 4 Mad Catz one that was on sale. Like, usually fight sticks are pretty expensive, but this one was only like $70 or something. So it's a cheaper version. So
It's not like one of those steel ones or whatever.
Yeah, it's not like the crazy ones. If I ever get like more disposable income I can toss around, I might think about getting those X Arcade ones that you can use for both PC and Xbox and PS3.
I just feel like Dead or Alive isn't meant to be played with a fight stick because I don't think they've ever been released in arcades. You can do it.
I just prefer it because I have a problem with doing diagonal inputs, which this game requires you to do. This game has like they talked about it last week, but it has the counter system. The counter system is basically one of the rock paper scissors that you use, to counter with the different things. Strikes you can counter with these counters. They're called holds, but and then the holds you counter with throws, and the throws you counter with strikes. But you have to do a diagonal input for certain types of counter holds, and
like high and low.
Yeah, for like the high ones and low ones, and it's really complex. I was like, why can't I just hit this one button and
So-
just have it counter everything?
Okay, I want to say, I have a question. So first, the last DOA I played was the second one, and second, I'm bad at fighting games. But like when I played that game, I always found that it was all a defensive game. If you could catch the person with your defensive grab, then you would open them up for massive damage. Like, it never paid to be offensively minded, I found in that game. It always paid to be...
No. It's basically you want to be able to do everything.
At our level, it is defensive minded, but I'd say like X and Ransu, they know like what is safe and like what will be guaranteed to where if you hit one thing, you'll get free damage. And it's like, I'll never do that, so just play Turtle It Up.
Oh my god,
On top of that, it's the mind game.
Yeah, I was playing with them yesterday. Like, they were trying to teach me stuff, and they were like, Rantu's like, "Oh yeah, that's -10." I'm like, "What the hell are you speaking? What should speak?" Yeah, I was like, "Speak in English terms." But yeah, I mean, they're playing with me. They're being surprisingly like nice about it, especially Rantu.
Is it better than when you played Virtua Fighter with X?
Well, yeah, that's because X was
So
doing
like when
nothing
you
but
played
trolling.
Street Fighter with me?
Oh god, let's not bring that up.
Didn't he troll you with Sarah? He could do it in this game too.
Yes,
It was Jackie. What's that name?
like I
Sarah's
said,
brother.
putting in combos is okay for me. I'm alright. I tend to be button mashy, so sometimes I get a little excited. It's just basically the holds, like these counters to strikes, like they're just hard to do. I'm not getting the timing, and until I get those, I'm gonna be at a disadvantage. So I gotta learn how to do that first.
Have you gone online at all?
Hell no, fuck no, God no.
You gotta
Only
throw
against
yourself in the deep
Ransu.
end.
No, only against Ransu and X, and I still need to pick a character. So
I would say choose a ninja, because ninjas are cool.
I think
Choose the sexiest lady.
I'm gonna pick Tina, which is like the wrestler girl.
She's kind of the sexiest lady.
I was about to say you're following Dark Fox's rule.
It's mostly because like she's about like I liked her combos. It was easy to do high-low strikes, and like she can throw like after you block a string of strikes. Like basically the best way to counter that is to throw, because they're at a disadvantage. So that makes a lot more sense to me, right? So it's just about, like I said, it's the counter throws, and I don't. I mean, we'll see. I literally just got the game yesterday. But I'm surprised that I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would, so I'll stick with it.
I played DOA 3 back on the original Xbox, but I was never played 4 because I didn't have an Xbox 360 at the time, and I never had money.
Apparently, didn't miss out on much.
Yeah. Like X and Ron who say DOA 4 was really, really poor for, I guess, like how it changed things or systems it implemented. I was never sure.
I don't want to get into technicals because last week was so technical, right? But yeah, just as a casual fan, I would say I'm enjoying it. I mean, I'll stick with it. I'll keep reporting back.
Fighting games are fun.
They are. You know, when we were playing Super Street Fighter on over Steam, that was super fun, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't win most of the time, really, but I could put up a decent challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody want to play Virtua Fighter with me? I'll go play Virtua Fighter.
I don't have PlayStation Plus anymore. That means I can't play that game.
I got it.
Good job.
You know, I might play with Kenzo.
Yeah, that was the other annoying thing. Like, my Xbox Live Gold had run out, so I literally had to, like, pay, like, a little extra cost to get, like, a month subscription. I didn't realize they'd switch that.
Wait, what?
You can just buy a month subscription to Xbox Live Gold. It was $10.
You've always been able to do that. It's just very economically poor compared to like the year plan or the 3-month plan.
I thought
Yeah, I was going to say $10 for 1 month.
Really?
They used to have deals like if it was I think your first time signing up it'd be like 1 month for $1. But the thing I did was 2 months for $2, and then I just canceled it. But that was a good $2.
Because for the whole year is what's that called?
It's $50,
$60, right?
Yeah, it's 60 now.
60 now.
Oh god,
so
60.
that doesn't make much sense to pay $10 for one month. Not to make
Well,
funny or anything.
Well, they're trying to get the whole $60 up front.
Yep.
I don't know. Like, it's just an extra cost, right? And then if I want PlayStation Plus again, that's also going to be an extra cost. So we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, it's just I had spent $60 to buy Dead or Alive, and then I was like, I don't really feel like spending another $60. Let's just pay $10. And you know what, Biggie, you were supposed to give me a free code, and it didn't work.
What? I typed it in? Oh, shit.
Oh,
Was it Canada,
Sitting on my
like
desk.
America thing?
Okay, wait, no,
No,
it's
it
okay. You
should
can
work.
you can give it to me later. I don't know if it expired because this is also something I wanted to
No,
talk to you about.
I
Because
used one
you
last
work at a
month.
video game store.
I do. Just
What?
on Sundays.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not as normal.
I am the Sunday manager at an independent video game store. I worked there through university, and I've known the owner.
GameStop?
No, independent. I've known the owner since the NES days. So I bought my NES cartridges at this store back in the day.
Neat.
Mainly Genesis, because he really started at the end of the NES. It was the 16-bit era where he would have games. I used to work at a computer store, and he would have games before the computer store. And gotta have the games fast, so that's the way it goes.
The next reason I would get to sign up for Xbox Live would probably be Halo 4, because I really do enjoy playing Halo online.
That game looks really good. I was gonna skip it, but I think I
Whoa,
might
Biggie.
actually buy it now. What?
Just take a moment, Biggie. You're kind of breaking up a little bit. Halo 4, really, Cross? Really?
Yeah, I really do enjoy the Halo games. Like, their multiplayer is my favorite shooter probably to play.
Nope.
And
The
also,
only
I
way-
like how they're reintroducing Valhalla as Ragnarok. I actually enjoyed that map quite a bit.
Cross is showing his age.
The only way I enjoy Halo games is when my friends come over, because they actually let you 4-player split screen and play online at the same time. So
Yep.
it's actually a really good experience for couch shooting, right? But I don't love those games. They're pretty cool, but I don't love them.
I
Like some
actually
people do.
played through the entirety of Doom, except it was because my TV, I had Dish Network at the time, and I also, for some reason, had a keyboard, and played through the entire game on that.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. Also, I never really realized it, because I was like, I don't have a mouse for this, so it was like back in the day where you had to aim with the arrow keys, because you didn't have up or down.
Oh god, back in the day, right?
Yeah. That was back in the day for you, Duo.
Yeah. Opposing forces with no mouse. It was good times. Did anyone ever play that one, the Star Wars one?
Well, you are breaking up real bad, man. Just
Let me reconnect.
You hit a tunnel.
no,
No, I've played the Star
don't.
Wars game. I actually think I own TIE Fighter, but I was never able to play it on my computer. I would always have to go to like my grandparents' house and use my grandfather's work computer. And also, I stole my dad's joystick to play it. I want to say that happened.
You know what? I'm gonna go back to retail talk a little bit. When Biggie mentioned he works at a Sunday store, working retail. Cross, you're
I do
currently
that.
working retail.
Yep.
Dark Fox, have you ever worked retail?
In a grocery store, yes.
Working retail sucks.
It's okay.
Yes. What really sucks is working rental retail, because
Yes.
the same idiots that check something out, they have to bring that shit back. They have to.
Yeah, they have
Well-
to, and then they yell at you when they're like, "You owe X amount of money." Like, what? What happened? I was like, "This is overdue." And one of the dumbest like responses to that I get was, "Well, let me take it out again." It's like, no, asshole, you had it out overdue. That doesn't mean you like accumulated extra time to have it. You owe money for the last time. So stupid.
The only bad part, like, I don't do really, really bad retail. It's just sometimes I have to deal with annoying customers. They force me to call a manager. The manager tells them the same thing. They're still angry, but they're not going to argue with them.
Well, it was kind of nice because since when I was working at the video store, my parents owned it and ran it. So odds are, if someone was like such enough of a dick or was such enough of a prick, it's not like I could, get away with calling someone an asshole or douchebag or telling them to go fuck off or whatever. But if I did that, my mom specifically ran the store, knew that I would probably do so with like a very good, under very good reason.
Right. Same thing when I was working at my video store. It's like you want to work with the customer, right? Unless that customer is a complete dick or is trying to rip you off. It's when they go to extremes. That's at the point where you're like, listen, you're no longer welcome at the store. Please take your business elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't care where you take it. Just I never want to see you again.
I don't like the phrase "the customer is always," because customers think that, and that's not always true.
Customers are not always right. It's more like work with the customer. Always work with the customer, and you are there to work with the customer and work for the customer. But customers shouldn't be unreasonable.
Yeah, I know. It's like one time I was dealing with this guy, and he said that the Return of the Jedi was better than The Empire Strikes Back, and that's just like, and that's not true.
And then you kicked him out of the store.
I can't exactly. I was like, get the fuck out! Take your Ewok loving ass and get the fuck out.
I
of my
hope you
goddamn
really
store.
didn't do that.
I did
That's
not.
the one time I used a shotgun behind the desk. So I was gonna say that I like the customer's always right rule because it kind of protects me as the employee. Because let's say the customer is super irate, right? And then I basically say yes, whatever, take anything you want. And then when the manager comes, wait, why did you let this asshole do this? I would say, well, the customer's always right, and that's the company motto. So I use that to defend myself. I've worked in another country for like about a year, and they don't really have that thing of the customer's always right. So sometimes the customer would be kind of irate. So I said, you know what? In this situation, I think it's best to kind of bend over for the customer so that he doesn't leave with such bad taste in his mouth and doesn't badmouth the hotel. So I do something like let him slide about something, and later the manager will be like, "Wait, why did you let him do that?" Well, he's like the customer, right? Like, no, why did you let him do that? We're like, oh, it wouldn't be like this in America.
Yeah, well, that also just depends on your job. But I mean, if you're working at really shitty retail like Walmart, like I worked at a grocery store once, and that job fucking sucks. Like, let me tell you, everybody. The secret about the grocery stores, they don't have cameras everywhere. The cameras are over the cashiers to make sure the cashiers don't steal money. That's the big fucking
Yeah.
secret. It's really shitty.
Well, and it was, and what Darfox was just saying about, bending over backwards for people, customers. That's something you especially have to do like now, because like I've not worked any sort of retail since probably about 2005, and in 2005 I didn't have to worry about Yelp or Facebook or like any of this shit. Like there was nothing really to like report into. It's like, the worst that someone could potentially do would be to, say, oh, we're gonna contact the Better Business Bureau or whatever. But now there are much easier ways to, take down or, sully the name of a store or business in some other way by, trashing them on the internet, like on Yelp or something.
Yeah, but even before that, I'm sorry. Even before that, well, like I worked at a Publix like around 2006.
Mhm.
So maybe they're either either they had a lot of foresight or they're already paranoid. But like in their training, in their employee training, they mentioned specifically that like let's say a customer comes to like hand in to return like a box of cereal, right? And the box of cereal is like half eaten, and it's clear that this guy just ate it and he's returning it. They said just take it because it's better to take that little bit of loss than for them to go badmouth Publix.
And for those who maybe are in other parts of the country or who are international, Publix is a
Grocery
prominent
store, yes.
supermarket, especially in like the southeast and Florida. I know especially. So
Yeah,
like
they're
your
all over
Kroger's,
like
your
Florida and
Albertsons,
Miami.
your Ralphs, yeah.
Yeah, I understand like that policy. Considering like these past few weeks now, I've basically been doing customer service, which is basically just returns, and I've had some lady like come in with jewelry that did not have any packaging whatsoever, and then I told her to find the receipt. She came back a few days later to return it in basically a Ziploc bag with like, I'm like, it's obvious this has been used and everything, but whatever, I will give you your money back. Just don't shit on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
yeah, I did the whole like retail rental like video store thing from about 93, 94 to about 2005. So I mean, I did that for like a really long time, and I was fortunate enough that that was like the only real crap job that I had. After that, I kind of got into doing IT work. So it's definitely one of those things that I feel like no one really aspires to do it.
Well, no one wants to inspire to
But
do it,
it's-
but guess what? People
yeah.
doing that job helps makes the
People do it.
world go around.
Yeah,
Someone
well,
needs
it's just
to do
like
it.
garbage men. It's like garbage men or the dudes who dig ditches or undertakers.
I don't know, the garbage man. You see like the truck with the arm picking up the garbage, and then the Google cars who drive themselves. Well, someday the garbage men know how to work.
Someday soon.
Question I had from earlier: what exactly is the Better Business Bureau, and what do they do?
The Better Business Bureau is essentially like I don't even think they're a government agency, but it's basically an agency where they process claims and stuff about businesses. So if you're registered with the Better Business Bureau and you're in good standing, it's essentially like a way for people to trust you, that you you're like that they can trust in you, that you're not going to scam them or screw them over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I would assume their like the way of punishing you will be like disassociating themselves from you. I don't think they will shut you down actually
Or-
your business.
No, yeah, I don't think they can't shut you down, but they can, say that we've had, complaints from this, about this business, and we found these complaints to be viable or whatever. And then, so that's, if you have that happen to you, it's essentially like, saying that these people will scam you. The only time I've really ever had anyone threaten to do that was
That actually happened.
when people threatened to like call the Better Business Bureau on us, or to contact like the local news media about us, because we would not allow there were members there were, I don't know if you would call them patients, but people who lived in a group home because they weren't. I'm trying to think of the most politically correct way of putting it.
100% mentally stable.
Special needs. Special needs individuals
Sorry.
that lived in a group home, but we couldn't allow them to have membership because what would happen. Part of the reason why we would do it is because like the people who would help out at the group homes would come in, they would get their own membership, and then they would rent something, and it would they'd come back late, and instead of paying the fees, they'd try to get these special needs individuals to sign up for their own memberships and under their own names. Well, the way the form was, it basically laid out like a contract, saying that you agree to do this, and we can, essentially come after you and, send this to collections if we want to, which we never did, but that's beside the point. But the point is that one time it happened, and or one time someone was talking about that they were going to call channel 5 or whatever and, talk about, how we're discriminating against these people, and it's like, no, you don't understand that these people can't legally enter into, any sort of legal agreement. And that was just like a big mess.
I've had bad experience with halfway houses. There's one near the store I work at, and they're not allowed to buy any R-rated games or M-rated games, and it's really weird because they're all I think it's for young offenders, so they're all like social degenerates, and all they want is like hardcore shooting games, and really there just isn't anything like that rated T nowadays. I mean, the amount of games that are not rated M is minuscule, and it's really weird because they basically try to scam M-rated games into the halfway house, and then they come back. And the owner of my store, just the one thing he hates more than I don't know why, he's like just despise it. So it always causes a little bit of conflict. So eventually we just have to like ban these kids because they're like just causing too much grief.
Yeah, I mean, I had a customer come in once to the video store, and she got really offended because when you're at work at a rental place and you fill out that form, usually you ask for a credit card for security purposes. They're like, "Why do you need my credit card? What do you think, lady?"
To make sure you won't steal our shit.
Exactly. And she was like, I can't give you my credit card. I was like, I'm very sorry, ma'am. That means you cannot rent here.
Yeah, like when you make a reservation at a hotel, at least in a hotel I was, if you want to guarantee it, you gotta give your credit card. So that would cause problems. They're like, wait, what are you gonna do with my credit card?
Exactly,
it's just a good guarantee. Like,
people get freaked out because of credit card scam. But listen, if you are at a legitimate business, they're not gonna suddenly use your thing. It's to protect us, like you said, Cross.
Even more innocuous is like whenever I check people out, I think it's like sometimes if they use credit or debit cards, I ask for their not their PIN number, their zip code, and some people get like really offended at me. I'm like, what the hell?
But
Yeah, that's
robot.
that's actually
Robot.
robot.
If I'm going shopping somewhere, like getting clothes or something, and people are like, "I need your zip," why?
Give a fake one. 90210.
But,
Come on.
But Cross, can you answer to me why they take the zip?
I actually don't know because I can't actually.
Why do they take my address? Why do they take my email?
Because they're building customer data. That's why.
Well, the reason why they take the zip sometimes is that
verification.
It's a verification thing to make sure that it matches the zip that you enter on your for your billing address.
But I learned I'm actually fully able to skip that step that way, so I don't actually ask people for their zip codes anymore. I'm just like, skip
like,
this step.
if you're taking a credit card, do you have to ask for that? Is that why? I'm legitimately asking.
No, I'm never actually quite sure. Sometimes it'll be for credit. It's usually on like debit cards, I think. It's never like always the same because it'll ask for like a signature for a credit card, but sometimes for debit cards,
that makes sense because debit cards. If I use a debit card at the gas pump, They will ask for
Exactly.
my zip code. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Mine does
Not up,
mine.
not up here.
Mine just asks for my PIN number. It doesn't ask for the zip code when I
That's
go to
why
use
you're
my debit.
America's
Not
hat,
all of them.
Biggie. America's hat.
I know. Actually, speaking of credit cards, like, do any of you had a lot of fraud, fake credit cards? Do you get fake credit cards at a video store? Because, like, at a video game store, we get them all the time. Because a console is a high value item that, you know, you can buy on a stolen credit card for $500 and then flip for $200 in real cash and
Okay,
and gold.
stolen. I thought you meant like fraud, like a fake one. Like, wait, would that not work?
The very popular one right now is they'll take the gift cards, you know, like the gift credit cards, and they'll dupe another credit card number onto it. And since those are non-PIN cards, right? Like, we're all chip and PIN up here now, so you have to, on a credit card, you'll put in the chip and type in your PIN code. You don't sign anymore at most places. And but gift cards are, of course, not. They're signed. So yeah, you just got to be really careful that the numbers match. And yeah, it's bad. I got caught once. I lost $300 that way.
That
Well,
sucks.
The most I've lost $20, but that was just like a mistake I made because whenever you go to enter cash into the purchasing system, it doesn't open the drawer until the end, which obviously makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't realize it had updated, and I wasn't sure what information to look for to show it, and so I accidentally entered in that like they had used cash twice and like the same number, so I shorted them like $20 or something.
No, my best mess up was on Christmas Eve one year. I forgot to take a $100 payment from the last customer of the day. This kid who bought an Xbox Live card and a game, and like he traded in some stuff, and I took the trade, but then I forgot to take the payment.
And so he just walked out of there
with like $100 worth of stuff. Yeah.
Oh shit!
You screwed up.
Yeah, it's Christmas Eve. We made like over $1,000 that day. Well over $1,000 that day.
What is that
so
clinking? Stop it.
Jingle bells. He's just telling the story.
I actually had so many.
Yeah, it was ambiance.
I actually had somebody returning stuff today, and like it was able to pull from their receipt, like each item that's returned. And I did all of their items, and she still had one left. And I'm like, this isn't on this receipt or the credit card used or anything. I'm like, I guess they just didn't ring it up for you. So here you go.
Do you guys have like a best retail story? Because I have one.
I had somebody threaten to leave and never shop here again based on my actions, but that wasn't really anything about me.
Go ahead. I have one. I might have told it on the podcast. I'm not sure.
I don't know if I told the story, but I was working at the video store, and this customer came in and asked my coworker a question. My coworker was like, can you help this customer? I was like, okay. Because I was a more senior member there. And so I'm like, okay, so what do you need? What do you recommend for cats? What? You mean like for cats to watch? Yeah, what do you recommend for cats? In my head, I'm thinking, what the fuck? Right?
Beethoven.
What do you recommend?
I don't even know what I said. I was like, why don't you pick this movie? I just came up with some bullshit answer because it literally, I was trying not to like stare at him completely dumbfounded, right? Because my initial reaction was like, you crazy.
You never had cats, right?
What?
Like, you never had cats before? Or
No. I've lived with cats very, like, shortly, and it was not a good experience, but yeah.
Because typically when there's some sort of nature show, and there's a lot of birds chirping and, like nature noises, a lot of time cats, like, perk up. So I would have recommended whatever, like, National Geographic documentary off the shelf or whatever.
See, but as a cat owner, that person should have been like, listen, my cat likes... If they explained that, listen, my cat I like to leave the TV on for my cat. He really likes this type of stuff. Do you have anything like that? That I can work with, right? As opposed to this guy just saying, what do you recommend for cat?
My cat likes Empire Strikes Back more.
I don't know your cat. What?
Well, yeah, that's just your cat being right. If the cat likes Empire better than Return of the Jedi,
my God.
that's just right.
I think dogs like Return of the Jedi more
So do you guys
than
have like a
cats.
story like that? Because
Nothing.
Oh God.
Mine was a little bit more perilous, a lot more scary because we saw this guy going out with this girl, and the
Was
girl
it
had
in
like a
or
room.
out of the country?
It was out of the country. I only worked in hotel internationally, and the girl was in the hotel, right? She had a room, and that was like
I'm
her
so
boyfriend.
scared where this is gonna go.
Well, it's nothing too weird or scary, but it was scary for us because we thought we could lose our job, right?
Tell your story.
A few hours later, he came back and he wanted a room, right? And we didn't think much of it because his girlfriend's staying here, so he wanted a room too. And depending on the rate or whatever, it might have been cheaper for him to get a small room than to be in addition to her room, because if you got another person in a room, you gotta pay more, whatever.
How would they know?
We gave him a room, and then later she came and she was asking like, "Where is he? Where is he?" And he told us to make sure not to like tell where he was. And then she just called him on his cell phone, and then he told her himself where he was. So she went up to like the floor, and they started fighting, and he started screaming out loud. And this was like 1 a.m.
Oh god!
And I had to rush into the room, and he was bleeding from his head.
Oh
and then,
Jesus!
It wasn't like a lot, but he like his scalp got a little bit scratched up, and they were like a really weird dysfunctional couple. Like to the point where the guy was like a masochist or something. He liked getting hair. It was something really weird. And me and my coworker, we were shitting our pants because like
you guys don't have security at the hotel or anything?
No, it's just me and like I was the big guy, so I was the security basically.
Oh my god! So did you call the police at that point?
I threatened to call the police, but then there was more drama because apparently he was illegal. So they're like, "No, you can't call the police. I'm illegal."
Oh god!
They're putting him out of the
country. At that point, you should
have
called the police immediately.
Well, that's the thing. I said, like, well, if you don't want me to call the police, then shut the fuck up and leave. Like, accompany me. And then I picked up the phone to call my coworker downstairs, right? And then she snatched the phone out of my hand, right? And I'm like, okay, I can't wrestle with this girl, right? I'm not gonna fight this girl, right? So I came downstairs. I talked to my coworker, like, what the fuck should we do? And at that point, one of the people who worked at the hotel, who was like, like the head maid, basically, that always sleeps in.
Mm-hmm.
She called the reception, like, what the fuck is going on? I hear screaming and fighting, like, oh fuck. So I went up, and the second time I went up, I convinced him to come back down with me. And then they left, but we got in a lot of trouble.
Because you shouldn't have given out that free room in the first place.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a free room, but it ended up being a free room because he asked for a refund on his way out.
What?
And yeah, because I guess because my coworker was so like stunned, and I was like stunned too. I didn't stop him or anything. He just he passed the card, and I refunded his money, and we left. And that's what really pissed off like our manager. He was like, they used the room, like they spilled blood on the room, so they should have paid for it. And we're like, I guess you're right.
They spilled your blood.
No,
that's
it wasn't that serious.
That would scare me, definitely.
Yeah, I was afraid that was going to go to like, and I'm saying this like completely straight faced and not in a joking manner at all. I was afraid you were going to go to like some like Natalie Holloway area of the world or some shit like that.
I mean,
something like really, but that's like one step. That's like one step below that, almost.
I mean, I was really scared when I was in the hallway and heard him screaming. I was like, "What the hell's going on? What should I do?"
Did you live in that hotel?
No, I lived with my aunt.
For some reason, I can't. I picture you just living there and like waking up and working at a bellhop or something.
Well, that's like the managers do that.
Cross, you so young.
I just imagine you staying there and getting up in the morning and doing the gardening and
then pumping gas. and then folding Doritos, passing them around.
Did y'all pump gas?
No. We just sold rooms.
You know what? I don't think I've ever had spilt blood, but like my video store was in Princeton, New Jersey, so it was like pretty uppity. And we would allow like dogs to come in, and one time a dog left a little doo-doo on the floor.
Oh no.
Oh no, with a rug?
Yeah, it was rugged, carpeted. So my coworker, thank goodness she volunteered to clean it up. But like, I had to tell the customer, they were a regular too. So I was like, what gives? Because they should know better, right? They're bringing a dog in for Pete's sake, so they should know better. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, oh, you don't really seem that sorry, considering you didn't even offer to clean it up. So I had to yell at them.
Totally.
I know between Manny and myself, we've had a lot, and I mean, we could probably fill like a whole hour and a half full of stories, like both horror stories and like funny stories. But talk about crazy stuff happening, and just in earlier talking about the special needs folks, I'll go to that well because we've already talked about it. There were a couple of them who, and these were two separate occasions. There was one of them who she would constantly like pick at her face, and so she had areas where she was like had open like open areas.
Like open skin, like red and bleeding.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, and then she would go, and we basically had these like little tags that would hang in front of the boxes, and then people would bring them up and bring up the tag, and then we would go back in the back and get the movie, and we would do that. That way, you know, it would prevent, you know, anybody just, you know, picking up a movie. Like at Blockbuster, you know, you can pick them up behind the movie box, and then, you know, you walk up. So basically, they didn't handle the movies until, you know, we handed them to them after they had paid.
Gotcha.
But basically, so they would, you know, pick up these tags and then bring them up, and we'd go get the movies. Well, she had like several of these tags that she had picked up, and basically had gotten blood all over these tags. So that, and it was like, and then it was pretty disgusting.
Yeah,
so, you know,
that's just a really gross habit.
and then there was one time that Manny was working, and one of them just sat down and squatted and
Whoa.
just peed right on the floor.
What?
I can't.
Okay,
it's like,
you know what?
honest to
This
God,
is...
I can't make it up.
Okay, so let me preface something. Okay, as someone who has like worked with such people before, if they are at this point where they cannot handle, like, they have problems like being out and like social and functions and things like that, like, they should have a handler that is working with them so they can work on these like skills, right? Especially at a public place of business. Was there someone with them?
Yes, there was someone with them in both cases.
That person is
generally
dropping the fucking ball.
They all did. Always. And they would always bring them in like groups of like 3 or 4.
Like 1 person to 3 like special needs people. Is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you saying 1 supervisor to 3 special needs people?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That is not
optimal.
It's not optimal, but that's not the worst. As long as you know what the fuck you're doing. These people sound incompetent.
Well, yeah, and I'm not trying to make fun of them at all, but, you know, it's kind of just talking about, you know, things that, you know, go bad.
Yeah, that's definitely a case.
So.
Like, I have dog pooping is one thing, but then when you have a person like pissing, yeah, that is
yeah.
completely.
I mean, I had something similar happen today.
Wait, dog pooping or somebody with special needs came into your
Fresh off the presses.
The latter, and it wasn't me. My brother's girlfriend works at the same place I do now, and she was dealing with somebody, and they kind of pooped themselves.
People losing their control of their bowels, it happens more often than you think. You know.
I had a friend of mine who I've been told this story secondhand. Basically, he went to lunch at a Subway with another friend of ours, and they were standing there going through the line, and then all of a sudden, he turns to her and said, "I just sharted." And it's like, you're kidding me. Oh God, it's just, and he's like full functioning. You know, he's an X-ray technician at a hospital. It's like, sometimes, I guess what I'm trying to get at is sometimes you can just like get if you try and trust a fart or something, that's one thing. But...
Well, you shouldn't be farting in line anyways. What's he thinking?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know what you're talking about, Dark Fox. When you fart in public places, nobody notices.
What are you talking about?
I hate when I fart in public places, and I'm like, man, that smells so bad. I hope nobody else smells this.
Yeah.
Let's keep talking about farts.
Or when you...
I forgot which comedy stand-up I
saw.
Yeah, I forgot which comedy stand-up I saw. If you fart in a public place, then like usually you don't get called out for it, so just go away. Go for it.
Well, and it's... Whenever I have to, and I'm out in public, I try to make sure that I'm like completely alone, and I always hate it when I do, and then like it's like instantly, like 15 seconds later, someone else walks over, and so it's like me, it's just you and this other person. So it's like, well, you know, it's quite obvious.
See, that is the wrong situation, Toro. You gotta wait till you're in a crowd, and then it doesn't matter. Could be anybody.
when it's face to face with somebody, you gotta stare them down and make them guilty about it. Make them think they did it themselves. Like, damn, maybe I am that nasty. Maybe I did fart myself.
Sometimes you just forget.
Always deny it.
Can you imagine if you and say,
Makes them submit.
you and another person are like there, and then you smell a fart, and this person is just glaring at you? That would be seriously scary.
That would be like some primal, like like a dog dominated in another type of a situation,
Yeah, the alpha
So-
male.
making them submit.
I had a book when I was a kid about traditional French Canadian games, and one of them was basically farting in each other's face. It gave instructions on how to like wrap your leg. You each like wrap your one leg around the back of the other person's head, so basically your face is in each other's ass, and then you take turns passing wind.
Canada.
I can't
I like the way you phrased
I
that.
can't believe we've devolved into shit and fart
Like
jokes.
when